Welcome back to the Rockstars. I'm Jessica Clemons, and this is a breakdown of Echo Episode 2, where we get first hints of Maya's magical lineage. Ooh. This episode had one of the coolest train heists I've ever seen in a TV show, but it also left me concerned for the safety of my poor, sweet baby boy Biscuits. Let's dive in for all the Easter eggs and details and references you might have missed. But first, don't forget to check out nerdriot.shop, where right now you can find merch inspired by the Echo series, including a shirt featuring the big man himself and a shirt with Echo spelled out in ASL with bloody knuckles. Grabbing a piece of merch from Nerd Riot is a great way to support the channel, so head on over to nerdriot.shop and shop all our awesome merch options today. Let's get into it. We opened in Alabama in 1200 AD. This is around the same year that the chiefs of the 5 Iroquois nations met in what would become New York State and agreed to unite after years of warring. From the concept art, they labeled this as Cahokia, the largest city built north of Mexico before the colonizers arrived. It's a huge major city until about 1350. Echo visits it in the comics, traveling backwards in time, where she meets her ancestor, Ahoya Lowak, the host of the Phoenix Force during that time period. In addition to the concept art looking pretty spot on to what we see, in an interview with Seth Fairchild, the executive director of cultural services, he mentioned Marvel created the village and stickball field and made it 100% authentic to what the Choctaw tribal members asked for. They're traveling by canoe, and dugout canoes were widely used pre the arrival of the Europeans. The attention to detail here is just all remarkable. Like in the water, when they're canoeing past the shoreline, we see this freaking alligator snapping turtle native to the southern United States dive into the water. Another shout out to Echo and the team, really just standing on their business to be culturally authentic as possible. This is 1200 AD. 1200 AD. None of us have lived during that time. We're showing you things we only know from stories and artifacts, and that just really gets me because it's really important. People are arriving from all over to take part in and watch a public sporting event. This is Choctaw stickball, or Ishtaboli, which is similar to modern day lacrosse. Choctaw stickball was played often in Oklahoma until the early 1900s and helped keep warriors in shape for warfare, but also was seen as an alternative to war between tribes. In a recent interview with the Choctaw Nation chief, Gary Batten, makes note of some of their tribal members being the actors and actresses in the show. This stickball game is played by real stickball players. For 2 days in the heat, they played actual stickball and used a lot of that footage. Amongst the ones, obviously choreographed, but this is all impressive, incredible, and just completely awesome to me. Here we find out that the outcome of this game will determine which team is banished from these lands forever. 2 teams play. Their hands, forearms, feet, lower legs, and lower part of their faces are painted red and blue. They speak to this man in Cherokee. He has blue paint on, so the colors could signify their tribe. They keep score with sticks painted in the same color, and it's the first to 10 wins. There's one woman on the red team, Lowak, and she's crushing it. She's the MVP. The score is 5-1 in favor of red, but then the blue team decides to send in the ringer, this big, beefy dude who seems to have a history with Lowak. She trash talks him a bit, but her teammate tells her to not lose focus. It is so easy to fall into a rut with food, but it's also so boring. My problem is that if it's left up to me, I'll eat the same boring stuff every single day like Zach Huddleston, which is exactly why I'm thrilled when instead of having to figure it out on my own, CookUnity can do it for me. CookUnity is the first chef-to-consumer platform that delivers freshly prepared, pre-selected meals right to your door weekly. CookUnity is basically a pipeline from your home to dozens of talented chefs that cook delicious, inventive meals fresh every day in regional micro kitchens, not warehouse production facilities. And the meals they make are updated weekly, so you can't get bored. You can pick from whopping 350 plus meals each week based on your dietary needs, including vegetarian, pescatarian, and keto. That's me. What kind of cuisine do you like? Or just, I don't know, give me chicken. I won't forget. Which could be the Esther Choi's teriyaki roasted salmon, or if you're more in the mood for beef, you could have a Stacey Baring grilled Asian hanger steak with charred broccolini. Variety is the spice of life, and with CookUnity, you can live a spicy life. CookUnity's roster of all-star chefs include Food Network alums, James Beard Award winners, and acclaimed restaurateurs. Balancing flavor and nutrition in the creations, there is seemingly endless variety of meals to choose from. The subscription is super flexible. You can pause, skip weeks, or cancel at any time, and it's super easy to do. Go to cookunity.com/nrockstars50 or click the link in the description and use my code NRockstars50 to get 50% off your first order of CookUnity meals to try them out for yourself. When play starts up again, he intercepts the ball right in front of her face and she is pissed. The score is now tied 9-9. The next point wins. The teams get into a scrum. In the midst of the chaos, the woman starts having flashes of her ancestors and she sees the glowing spiral on her palms, similar to what Maya sees later on in this episode. The woman leaps over everyone and scores, and the crowd goes wild. In present day, Maya wakes up to the light in her room flashing to indicate that someone is at the door. She has 2 texts on her phone from her cousin Biscuits reading, "I'm here and brought some stuff." There's a notepad next to her phone with a list. It says 4 rolls of duct tape, 15 glow sticks. This is a party and I want to be invited. Small lanterns, drill, sledgehammer, carabiners, climbing rope, harness, just harness, sealant, Vienna sausages. Is this a child or a kidnapper? Biscuits brought Maya some essentials in a postal carrier box, which we later find out is Grandma Chola's, along with her truck he's driving. Maya ominously asks him if he ever takes the truck off-roading, and he gives an emphatic never, because Grandma would kill him and he's not good with the steering wheel on the wrong side. It's on the wrong side because she's a US postal worker and she uses the truck on her postal route. In the box, he's got Doritos, Funyuns, strawberry Pop-Tarts, pasteurized, processed cheddar cheese, and that's a good cousin right there. He's got all the staples and is really a sweet dude who we see later is willing to do some crazy stuff for his cousin. Maya hands him a supply list of things she needs and he says, "It's not illegal, is it?" And she just hands him a wad of cash and doesn't answer. Biscuit goes to Scully's pawn shop to get Maya her list of stuff, and I called the number on the sign there, and sadly, it was not in service, so you don't need to do it. I called like most of the numbers in this series, and none of them are in service. I was hoping for a personalized greeting from Kingpin himself, because that's exactly what I dream of and what I want. Scully's store sells Native American goods, among other things, and we get this hilarious scene with these two clueless wasps who get talked into buying a bunch of stuff from Scully, who's obviously used to dealing with these type of people.
Buy the damn thing, buy the damn thing, buy the damn thing, buy the damn thing. Hello, all my relations.
Yeah, in case you can't tell what he's saying, he's chanting "buy the damn thing" over and over again, but they clearly hear what they want to hear. The wasp wants some Navajo rugs that are a little more southwesty, but Biscuits talks them out of anthropology and they leave Scully decked in the fringe vest and bolo ties. Biscuit says this.
You guys can drive over to anthropology and get your Navajo rug, but that's all stuff from Madripoor.
We saw Madripoor in Falcon and the Winter Soldier with Baron Zemo, Sam Wilson, and Bucky went to Madripoor to meet the power broker, aka Sharon Carter. It's full of the world's shadiest criminals, and this is also a play off the, made in China kind of trope. On the way out, the white woman says, "Yakoki," which is chalked up for thank you, and she was probably so proud of herself for that. And then Biscuit says this.
I don't know why you gotta be all somehow. I just helped you with that sale with the Naholos.
Naholos, which is chalked out for white people. Maya's grandma is helping to plan for some type of festival, and the diagram they look at has a similar layout to the one from the opening scene with the Choctaw stickball game. Someone in the group accidentally spills the beans that Maya's back in town, and they spotted her talking to Henry at the roller rink, and you just know that Grandma Chola isn't mad. She's just disappointed. Biscuits brings everything he got from Scully's over to Maya's house, and she peer pressures him into skipping dinner with Chola to take a ride with her instead, and I'm afraid for Biscuits at this point going forward. He's just easily peer pressured, just like me. Grandma Chola goes to the roller rink to talk to Henry about Maya being back in town, and I love that song everyone is skating to. It's the 1998's All My Life by Casey and JoJo. I was listening to it because I love this song so much. It's just such a good roller skating song. They're always playing those 90 ballads at roller rinks. Chola's worried that Maya will cause trouble while she's in town, and her fears are totally founded because immediately we found out that Maya has been planning this whole time with a list of supplies, and it's a dangerous ass train heist. I don't even know if it's a heist more than it is a horrible terrorist attack. Maya ropes Biscuits into helping her with this too, and he brings along Billy Jack, and I love him and was so concerned for his safety for everything that follows. But spoiler alert, Billy Jack is totally fine, since I'd want to know that before going into this, so you're welcome. Maya goes all Mission Impossible and jumps onto a moving train, and I love that this isn't graceful or easy. Like, she almost falls off, and it's a lot of hard work to get herself back up. Her whole life's a struggle, but that's when she goes hard. It's not the usual action movie type scene. It's brutal and she's getting beat up doing all this stuff. It kind of reminds me of the awesome Daredevil season 1 hallway fight scene where you saw every bit of effort that fight took Matt to accomplish, and he was bloody and battered and breathing hard the entire time. This scene switches from this loud train audio to Maya's POV, silent, calm, still, even as the crazy chaos is raging around her. She jumps over the head of the armed guard without him noticing, and then gives a "yeah, I just did that" smile back that's just awesome. Once she's underneath the train, she drills up into the container D9X and puts the small camera she had Biscuits get her up in there to look around. Biscuits is frantically trying to keep up with Maya and the train and Grandma Chola's truck, and Chola calls him right as this is happening. Grandmas always know when you're up to no good. Even her look on his phone looks disappointing. I'm also starting to get a bad feeling that Biscuits is gonna die before this series is even over. Like, he's always just too sweet, and Maya keeps putting him in harm's way, and it all just doesn't bode well with me. Maya enters the container D9X and opens a box, but we don't get to see what's inside of it, which is very Pulp Fiction. She puts something in the box, then seals it up with sealant spray. After she's done what she's come there to do, she's back on top of the train and miscalculates on a jump, crushing her prosthetic leg in a horrible way. I hate this scene. I hate it. I don't ever want to see it again. In a moment of pure panic when she's trying to free her leg, Maya sees a vision of Lowak, the stickball playing woman from the beginning of the episode. Then she sees the woman from episode 1 who became the first Choctaw. Maya's hand glows with the same swirling circles as Lowak's did, and she's able to pry the train cars apart to free her leg. Then we get this awesome moment that we saw in the trailer where Maya jumps, from the moving train to the truck Biscuits is driving, and again, this hits hard. Biscuits checks to make sure Billy Jack the dog is okay, and again, that's exactly the first thing I would have done too. We see the New York skyline, but specifically the view from the Freedom Tower in Manhattan, which is away from Avengers Tower. That's uptown, so we're not seeing Avengers Tower yet in this shot. It turns out that Maya rigged the box with explosives so that when it reaches the end of the line and the workers open it, it just blows up in their faces. It's hard to tell what's in the crate before it explodes, but it kind of looks like weapons. It's also hard to tell what the bomb is made of, but it does look like a homemade bomb, and none of the ingredients look like they were on the list Maya gave to Biscuit. So maybe he's not an accomplice to the bombing itself. The items she had Biscuit acquire were just to break into the train. I'm not a lawyer, but hopefully that holds up in court because I love Biscuits and I don't want him in trouble. Anyways, it blows the hell out of that warehouse, and this is some real anti-hero shit right here. And I mean, Maya could have just taken out any innocent person who happened to be walking by. Not to mention the fact that probably not all those dudes there were like bad and deserve this. It's giving US agent. Henry has 3 phones and all of them ring at once. He's clearly being told about the train car in the warehouse, but he hasn't yet put 2 and 2 together to know that Maya had anything to do with this. But then he realizes which container blew and he texts her, "We need to talk now." And you know that if there's periods at the end of sentences in a text, that person means business. They're mad. Maya goes to Scully to get her prosthetic leg fixed up, and I love how everyone in her life just knows American Sign Language and it isn't presented as like a big deal. Scully immediately knows Maya is up to some crap when he looks at her damaged leg, and she shows him the new leg she wants. I was kind of thinking of that shotgun leg that Rose McGowan has in Planet Terror during this scene, but Maya's probably asking for something a little more practical. Then we get this cool montage of Scully building the leg, very reminiscent of Tony Stark building his suit out of the box of scraps. Box of scraps! And just like Tony's first suit, this leg is temporary. The real one will take some time for him to make. Maya takes Henry, "They hit me, I hit back." And damn girl, don't put that stuff in a text. That's how they nail you. Henry texts back, "They'll know this was you. You can't take on Fisk's army alone." And she responds, "They can't do much with their armory melted." Maya sees a statue of the woman from her vision, the first Choctaw, and Scully tells her that her grandmother can trace her roots back to the very first Choctaw, and the ancestors would look out for the family in times of need. So I guess that explains the glowy hand thing. Speaking of Grandma Chola, the look that Biscuits gives her when he knows he's busted for messing up her truck is amazing. He just drives by. I just love this scene. It's very funny. Biscuits is going to be one of our favorite characters. Biscuits takes the truck to Snake Creek Salvage and gets on the CB to try and sell his PlayStation 4 for money to get it fixed up. He asked for $125 for best offer, and right now a used PlayStation 4 goes for around $175 on GameStop. Bonnie hears Biscuits on the CB as he slips and says that Maya's in town. Again, not to curse Biscuits, but this dude is definitely going to die before this series is over. He's just too sweet and naive. Henry compares Maya to Fisk, saying she sounds like him, and we know from the trailer that Fisk himself will make this comparison at some point. Henry also says Maya needs to lay low and that people close to her always get hurt, and oh yeah, someone's gonna die. If not Biscuits, maybe Bonnie or Grandma Chola, and I'm gonna be crushed no matter what because none of these people deserve to die. They're all innocent. Bonnie texts Maya, "Are you here in town? Why wouldn't you tell me?" This is just as Maya is looking at the swing set where they played when they were little. She flashes back to their sleepover in the tent the night her mom died, and these memories have baggage because in the present day she shoots up the swing set. The gunshots are intercut with more scenes of Maya's ancestors, the woman in the cave looking back at her, and then a black and white shot of a woman we haven't seen before. She's holding a shotgun and it has braids and a cowboy hat, and this is the image we go out on. And that's it for my breakdown on episode 2 of Echo. I'll be back tomorrow for my breakdown on episode 3. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and follow New Rockstars. Subscribe to New Rockstars for more analysis of everything you love. Thank you, Gina, for writing this episode. It takes a village to make these videos, and Gina wrote this one because she's amazing, spectacular, and the love of my life. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.